inform everybody who is present in the meet here. As promised, you all will be having a guest lecture today by Aryan sir. So he'll be teaching you about everything regarding Git and version control. Okay. So पिछले हफ्ते मैंने देखा कि ये लेक्चर हमारा मिस आउट हो गया था बिकॉज वी वर लैकिंग बिहाइंड ऑन आवर सिलेबस सो आई होप इस हफ्ते और इस वीक में वो कसर पूरी हो जाए कि यू गेट इनफ इंफॉर्मेशन दैट यू आर प्रोवाइडेड विद 2 weeks ऑफ वर्थ इंफॉर्मेशन ओके so today there won't be a lecture by me. I won't be taking a lecture or I won't be teaching you or anything because as promised, तुम्हारा एक guest lecture होना था every week, right? So this is what we'll be giving you today. This is what we are delivering you right now. Okay. So what I would like to say is, मैं बस एक assignment देने के लिए आया था और बताने वाला था कि you all will be creating an assignment. What assignment should I give you all is अब मैंने एक मल्टी पेज वेबसाइट बनाने के लिए बोल दिया था राइट एंड आई आल्सो टोल्ड यू ऑल टू स्टाइल इट यूजिंग CSS राइट सो व्हाट आई वांट इज फर्दर इट डाउन और रादर उसको आगे बढ़ाते हुए why not use positions as well so we learned from itne sare concepts in the last 2 days right so use all of these and style the portfolio page at the end of the day what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a portfolio website for us so that is what I'll be expecting from you all और ये assignment तुम्हें classroom पे assign हो जाएगा इसके आगे का I think Aryan sir will take over okay. All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, Sultanka. I'm Aryan. I'm a full stack developer with like 4 years of experience, and I love coding. I love everything I do, and Git is one of the most like core tools that comes into play. Where I could like live with any other coding language, any other framework, but without Git or a version control software, I cannot survive. So it's super important that you guys get the fundamentals down and like start like getting way more comfortable with it. I'm not very familiar with what stage everybody is in at. Mr. Sultan Khan, could you like give us a quick brief on like where everybody's skill level is at? Yeah, so right now we've just started with CSS and we are 1 week into CSS right now. So they've just recently learned about positioning and how positioning is used. So very basic, let's say building blocks we're trying to cover first, and then we'll move on to some, let's say advanced topics while we tackle JavaScript ahead. All right. Sounds good. And I hope everybody's okay with English because my Hindi is terrible. But, anyways, moving on. I'll share my screen so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll give you guys a real demo of some of a actual realistic repository with some issues, and I'll show you how the entire like workflow works first before we get into like how Git works deep down. The reason why I want to show you guys a realistic example first is when I was starting out, I really wish someone just showed me how the real world of like software development works. I feel like I could have learned so much if I at least saw how all of this worked. But at least for me, I had to learn the theory first, then slowly get good at it. Then I got more comfortable, and that's when I realized how real software development works. So before I could we could talk on for hours me explaining the theory, but that's not any fun. So I want to show you guys like a realistic project first. Then we'll be like I'll give you like a quick end-to-end demo of like creating an issue, creating a few commits, creating a pull request, and then merging that in. And then we'll break that down. We'll like go into each of the concepts and we'll see how it goes. So let me just share my screen. And can you guys just confirm in chat if the screen share is okay? Is that okay, the screen share? Can someone confirm? Yeah, yeah. All right. Now we can see your screen as well. Okay, okay. So, I'll start out with a repo I have over here. It's just a quick demo repo that I created. And actually, what I'll just do is I'll quickly just delete the folder and I'll clone it from beginning. Pronttera demo. And I'll just go over a quick end-to-end workflow on how I would do this in the real life. So the goal here is not to learn everything that I'm doing right now in this demo. It's just more of just to see how it's being done so that you guys can pick up on a few subtleties. And then after I show this quick demo, maybe like a 5 minute demo, after that I'll break down each of the things that I'm doing. So first, here is a repo. I'll just click on this, copy the URL. I'll open my VS Code. Actually, let me open my terminal and I'll just clone that really quick. Zoom in for you guys. So I'm just creating a folder. I already have another folder, my bad. And let me just git clone this. Oh wait, do I still have the folder? I do. Okay. So I've just cloned the folder. Let me cd into that. And I'll open this in my VS Code. All right. And what I want to do here is I made a couple of simple issues that I want to try solving. So first of all, this is just a simple React app. I don't expect you guys to know what React is. It's completely fine. For all you guys need to know is that it's just a website. And to run this, I need to do this command. Uh, yeah, my bad. So I'm just setting up the repo since I just cloned it. And now I'm just running this. Great. So this is like a super simple website. We have a counter here. That's it. But let's try to solve one of these issues that you can imagine a team member just created. So a team member just told me to create this feature, switch to a dark theme. So what I'll do is I'll go here. I'll create a branch, something called a branch, because I don't want to mess with the actual code, the original source code of the project. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new branch here. And again, I prefer using the terminal here for these basic commands because there's one thing I just want to mention really quick. You have a lot of different ways of interacting with Git. You can either use a terminal or you can use these like GUI applications to access Git. But for the purposes of this demo, I'll just be using the terminal and know that even if you use VS Code's built-in Git features or another third-party app, they all just use the terminal. So it's very important that you guys learn the basic commands and how they work. So here, I just created a new branch, and we can see it here. I'll switch to this new branch, and let's start solving this issue. So they want us to create a dark theme. What I would then do is I'll open up the file that we need. I'm gonna make a few changes. Again, it does not matter the changes what I do. Everything here is just a demonstration to show you how the entire Git workflow works. So let's preview our website. And again, by adding these bits of code, I've added a simple dark mode to our website. It looks great now. And what I'll now do is I'll create a commit. So first I'll add all the files that I've changed. Before that, let me show you the changes we've made. So let me make my terminal bigger. It shows that I've made a change in here. This you can ignore. It's not that important. And I can just I can just add these changes first. Then I will create a commit. So the commit will be like add dark mode feature. And I've now created a commit and I'll need to push this changes to my repository. So I'll paste my branch name here. And okay, that was a lot of stuff. But let's see what just happened. So if I go to GitHub now and I go to my code tab, I now have a new branch called switch to a dark theme. And what I can now do is I can create a new pull request. Again, it's not important to know what it does, but I just create a new pull request. And what I want is changes from this branch to be applied on the main branch. That's my goal because we just developed this feature. I added dark mode and I want this dark mode to be applied on my main branch. That's my goal. So I'll select this branch. And as you can see, it shows the changes that I made. You can ignore this for now. It doesn't really matter. So I'll create a pull request. And a pull request is like a place where your team can, all your team members, if you're working in a company, can see this pull request. They can interact with this pull request and they can make changes or they can ask you to do more changes. That's basically the gist of a pull request. And once I'm happy with this, I can merge this pull request. And what merging does is it just brings all the new changes I made onto this branch called main. Anyways, the goal isn't to understand all these concepts, it's just to understand the flow of how this works. So I'll now delete this branch. I'm I'll switch to the main branch. But if you notice, the main branch is still light mode for some reason, even though we just merged it. So that's where I'll need to just like pull all the changes. And as you can see, I'm on my main branch and we have dark mode. So this is kind of how software development works in the real world, where you'll have issues, you'll have to create pull requests, solve this issue that you have, and then merge those changes back to your main base. But that was a lot of stuff. So let's break that down. So I'm going to not work on this like demo repo now, and instead let's just create a fresh repo and let's see how this all works from the beginning. So I'll actually just close this and I'll create another folder. What do we call this? Um, I guess like guest lecture. And let's open this empty folder. And from here, I'll show everything from scratch as to how Git works and the basic commands you'll need to know. And just to like keep us all on track, I've actually made a simple like cheat sheet for all of you guys. I'll share this with you guys like after the call. And these are essentially all the commands that you'll need to know to be like good at Git. And I'm sure even if you guys like work in a big company in the future, these are the commands you'll be using like 90% of the time, like 99% of the time. And once you understand these commands, software development just becomes way more fun because you have way more control over code and you'll just understand what's happening much better. So let's start from this. Let's look at this cheat sheet and let's learn some of the commands that I've mentioned over here. Okay, so I have a fresh folder here, and my goal here is to create like a simple like calculator app. That's my goal. Let's start building it then. So I'm going to create a new file called index.js. Again, I'm not sure if all of you guys know JavaScript, but again, it does not matter. The goal here is we're just trying to learn Git, and Git can be applied to like any kind of text file essentially. So basically, any programming language, whatever you do in software development, you'll need Git. So it does not matter if you guys know JavaScript at all. Let's try a simple console log. Hello from Aryan. Okay, and this should print something in our console here below. Make that a little bigger. Great. So it works. We have a simple file that outputs something in the terminal. And let's start to introduce Git here and see how it can help us in like software development. The first command you'll have to do in like a fresh project is git init over here. And all that does is it creates a new Git repository. If you're not familiar with what a repository is, you can just think of it as something like it's just like a folder where any changes you make on your code will be updated in the repository. So let's keep that analogy. The more I explain, the better you'll understand what it is. So I'll do git init here, and that just created a Git repository in this folder. Actually, what I'll do is let me delete .git and let me show you that in this folder, right now we only have one file, index.js. It's pretty clear. But when I do git init, and then when I view all the files, you notice that a .git folder has been created. This can be ignored, it doesn't matter. But .git folder got created. And that's because when you run git init, it's where it establishes everything for Git. It's all saved in that .git folder. It doesn't matter again too much for now, but just note that whenever you do Git init, a folder gets created here, .git. And it's a hidden folder, which is why you'll not see it in your VS Code, but it's there. It's actually there on your computer. Okay, so now we have a Git repository. Let's try creating a few commits. And the goal for us today is to push all of this code onto GitHub so that you can show it to your friends, you can show it to your employers, and you can do cool stuff from there. That's our goal. Because right now, if I go to github.com, my repository is not on GitHub. It's only on my computer. So the goal is we'll create a repository, we'll push it to GitHub, and let's see how that all works. Okay, so first thing I'll do is let's create a repository on GitHub first. So the easiest way to do this is go to github.com, click on the plus button, and then new repository. And then you'll get this page. There's a handy shortcut which I use often. Is if you go to this URL, repo.new, it'll just create a new repository page in one go. So it saves a little bit of time. I'll call my repo guest lecture, and the rest of the stuff can be left to default. Public or private is up to you. I'll leave this public so you guys can see this after the classes. So I'll create the repository, and we see this weird menu, and it can be kind of confusing. We don't know what's happening here, but our goal is for this folder to show up on github.com, and let's try to do that. So first thing we'll have to do is to create a commit that adds this file. So I'll run through the commands first, and then I'll explain after that. Let me first do a git add dot. Before that, a command that you'll have to use very often is git status. So we've learned about git init, now git status. What git status does is it shows what all files we've made changes to. So it says that, okay, we've created this file and we've created this file. By the way, this file is something Apple devices just automatically create. So we can just ignore this for now. You guys will most likely not see this, but this is what we're looking at. A new file just got created and it's untracked for now. So what we'll do is we'll git add index.js. Okay, so it got added, but we don't know where it got added. Let me do git status again. And now it says there's a new file added to Git. It's called index.js. And there's one untracked file. We'll actually ignore this file for now. Could I delete this? Okay, it just keeps getting created again. Let's ignore this. But right now we have this one file over here, and it's still not available on GitHub. So what I'll now do is we just added the file using git index.js. Now we'll have to create a commit. I'll explain what a commit is as soon as I do this. I'll call my commit create index.js. So what is this command? A commit you can think of is like a save game in video games. So I'm sure you guys are familiar, like when you're playing a new game and let's say you reach some point and there's like a boss fight up ahead, you might like save the game before the boss fight, yeah, because if you like lose the boss fight, you might lose progress. So a commit is just a save point where you're just saving your code. That's basically it. You're just saving code so that you can come back to it. So I'm just creating my first save here and I'm calling it create index.js. Typically, what we also do in software development is for the first commit, we just call it initial commit. You don't have to describe what your first commit is. So I'm going to create one commit with the message, dash m means message, of initial commit. I'll press enter and it just created a commit. And to view all your commits, you can do git log. So we looked at git init to create a new repository. Git status is to just see the current status of your repository. Git add is to add a file so that Git can track it. The term, the exact term you're looking for is staging a file, but that's more in depth. Let's look at the high level features of Git first before looking into staged files. So we learned Git add, we learned Git commit now. And finally, Git log will show us all the commits we've made. So it says, Aryan just created a new commit here at this time, and every commit has a unique ID. So that's what Git log does. And Git log is super useful. So we've done all of this stuff, but it's still not showing up on github.com. And that's where GitHub gives us a few lines of commands we can run, where if I copy paste these 3 lines and I paste it in my terminal, my code will show up on GitHub. But you don't learn much from this copy pasting. I really want to show you guys what these commands do behind the scenes. So what we'll do is let's type out these commands and I'll briefly explain how they work. Okay, and again, our goal is for this folder, this file that I have to show up on github.com because it's not on github.com right now. So we'll do git remote add. And what I'm doing is I'm adding something called a remote URL to my repository. What is a remote URL? Before I add that, let's view all our remote URLs using git remote -v. And we see nothing. That means there are no remote URLs associated with this repository. That basically means this repository only belongs on your computer. It's not being synced anywhere. And an easy analogy to think of is you have a folder on your computer, but if your computer gets damaged, you lose the folder. But if you have, let's say, OneDrive or Google Drive, and you sync the folder, even if your computer gets damaged, you still have the folder. You can access it like from anywhere or on a friend's computer. It's always available. So again, in software development, in most companies, what they do is they store their repositories somewhere remote. And then all the employees can just locally download the repository and then access it. The right term would be cloning. They would clone the repository and access the files. So again, I'm going to add github.com's URL onto my repository. And to do that, this is the syntax. So I'm just going to copy this command and paste it. And all this does is it's telling my local computer that please sync with github.com. That's basically what it means. So I added that. And now if I view my remotes, you see 2 things got added. Before it was empty. And after running this command, 2 things got added here. Let's see what these do. But these essentially are saying that please sync my folder with github.com. That's what it means. Uh, there's 2 more commands here, but I'll actually not be using these 2. I'll show you why they're here later. But for now, all we need to do is a git push origin main. And here again, it's a new command we're using, git push. What it does is it like uploads your local code folder onto github.com. So let's run it and let's see what happens. So essentially with git push, it pushed all of our code onto the remote URL. So let's see how it looks now on github.com. And boom, we have our file stored on GitHub right now. And if you open it up, It's the exact same as what we see on VS Code. Before I explain more stuff, like all of this, I'm sure you guys must have at least like done a few times earlier. I'm not too sure, but I have a feeling a few of you guys might have done this already. But I'm just explaining this in depth so that you guys truly understand what is happening behind the scenes and not just copy pasting, and just works. Okay, so this looks good. Let's try creating another commit and let's see how that flow works. What I want to do here is let's create a new function called add numbers. Again, the code does not matter here. Our goal is just to see how Git works. So I'll do return a plus b, and let me create another console log. Add numbers. Okay, let's say I'm adding these two numbers. Let's just run this file first locally. It says hello from Aryan, and we get an output of 9 because it adds the number 4 and 5. But when I go to github.com, the changes haven't showed up there. There's two things we need to do first. We need to first write a commit locally, and then we need to push this local commit onto github.com. When you do these two things, your like changes will be shown on github.com. So let's do that again. To create a commit, it's basically to create a commit that shows up on github.com, it's essentially three commands. It's git add dot, it's then git commit with a message, and then git push. This is the basic flow. So let me show that to you guys now. I'll do git add dot, I'll do git commit, and I'll give it a message like add support to add or create function to add numbers. Enter. It created a commit. And let me just git push to main. Okay, so it's three commands that I ran: git add, git commit, and git push, with a few other options over here, which I'll explain further. But let's see what just happened. Now, if I refresh github.com and if I check out the file, you can see that all of the latest changes have showed up on github.com. So all you guys have to know is that these three are like one of the most common things you'll be doing all of the time, to create changes and push to GitHub. And I have I'll show you guys a few shortcuts you can use to make this simpler. Let's say I add something here. So I'm adding like more descriptive console log. So let's run the code now. It shows 4 plus 5 equals and the output. So let's say I want to push these changes onto github.com. What Instead of doing a git add dot and then a git commit, what we can do is a git commit dash am, and then we can just say add descriptive console or improve console log. So that's my commit message. So what am does is it just adds and creates a commit in one go. Let's create that and let's push that as well. So again, here I only ran two commands instead of three previously: git commit and git push. Well, let's refresh the website here. And as you can see, the new console log shows up over here. Great. So that's a good start. And this is essentially the base of Git. We're not messing with any of the like intermediate level features. It's all pretty basic stuff. Okay. I just want to check if that was all clear. Yeah. Can I get any response in chat? If that was okay. I'll then move on to like explaining how branches and other stuff work in Git. All right. Moving on. I'll explain how branches and pull requests work, because these are like the next things you'll have to learn when you are like learning Git in the real world. So what I'll do first is let's explain what branches are. So if I do git branch, you see that only one branch is listed called main. And branches are essentially like, as the word implies, they are like different branches stretching out from your code, where on each branch, you can have different features. For example, on your main branch, you have all of your main code base, but you can have another branch which adds a new feature. So only this new branch will have the code for the new feature, but your main branch has all of the existing code. That's essentially what a branch is, and we'll create one so that you guys know what's happening. So let's create a new branch called subtract numbers. So here what I'm doing is I'm running git branch, and this is the name of my new branch. So I'm creating a new branch called subtract numbers. Nothing happened. So if I run git branch again, you can see that main is there, and there's also subtract numbers now, because this is the new branch that we just created. But as you can see, main is highlighted in blue and has a asterisk. That means that you're currently on the main branch. And in VS Code, they show it to you on the bottom. So let's try to switch to the subtract numbers branch, and let's make a few code changes there. So I'll git switch. This is another command now. And what git switch does is you can switch between your branches. You can also use git checkout. It's the same essentially. So git switch or git checkout. Use whichever feels more comfortable to you. And we put the name of the branch that you want to switch to. So before I run that, let me do git status, and it says you're on branch main. Let's switch to this branch now. So I'll do git switch subtract numbers. And now I'm on this branch, subtract numbers. And I can verify that using two commands. Git branch again. And as you can see, subtract numbers is now in blue with an asterisk. Previously it was main. So this shows that you're on the subtract numbers branch. If not, you can go git status, and that says that you're on the subtract numbers branch. Okay, so what is a branch? Before I explain that, I'll create a small change in my code, and that'll explain what a branch is more clearly. So let's say I'm creating this like simple calculator, and I want to add a function that can be used to subtract numbers. So let's create that function, subtract numbers. All right, I just created a new function that subtracts numbers. And let me also just do a quick test. So let me do 9 minus 3. And I'll have to copy the name of the function. And 9, 3 here. Okay, so I've updated my code. Let's run this first. So we get our first console loop. It's still there. The second one is the addition, add numbers. And the third one is the subtract. So it works. 9, when you pass 9, 3, we're getting 6. Works great. Let me now create a commit on this branch, not on the main branch. So again, here comes numbers. So if I create a commit on this branch using the shorthand we just discussed, and I'll call it add function to subtract numbers, I create a commit. And let me also just push that to GitHub. Because if I go to GitHub right now, I only have one branch right now, the main branch. But if I run this command, git push with the new branch name here, the syntax of these commands aren't that important. Syntax is easy to learn, but the concepts are what's more important. So again, my priority is checking concepts of branches, string things, and making just you can understand that entire flow. So let me run then show on GitHub. Okay, it shows some output. Let's refresh GitHub over here. And as you can see, we have two branches right now. We have main and we have sub numbers. Let's check out each of the branches now. Like we have the so on main branch, the file looks like this. Okay, but if I switch the branch now to subtrams, and then when I open the file, you see there's more code. Okay, so that means the same file can have multiple variations based on branch. And so I created it so that, for example, multiple developers can work on the same file because they can have different branches with different changes. So here, in the same file, you have two branches with two different bits of code. And this is essentially why we use branches. But as I explain more, it'll instantly click in your head why we need these many branches and stuff. Okay, so I'm happy with this addition that I added, but I want these changes from subtract numbers and I want it to be added onto main branch. So of course I could just git switch main. Uh, Give me one moment. I'll actually just disable this because it's so super annoying. Okay, so right now we have these changes on subtract numbers, but our goal is we want this new changes from subtract numbers to show up on the main branch. So what we can do here is let's create a pull request from subtract numbers to bring all these changes onto the main branch. So I want to bring this function from here all the way to the main branch. That's my goal. So what I can now do is I can go to GitHub, I can go to the pull request tab, create a new pull request, click on the drop down, and this arrow shows you from which branch to which branch you want to bring code changes. So it means that I want to bring code changes from this branch to the main branch. So let me select subtract numbers. And as you can see, these are the change highlighted in green are the stuff that we changed in this branch. So let me create a pull request and you click on this button to create it. Okay, so we have something called a pull request, but before I merge this or explain this more, let's see what's different. So if I go back to the pull request tab, I have one open pull request. Okay. And when you click on it, you can see there's another tab called files changed. It shows that how many files have been changed from this branch compared to the main branch. So if I open it, you can see that these two lines have been added. And that looks good. These are the changes I want to bring over into the main branch. So in order to bring the changes from one branch to another, I create a pull request. I click on merge and I click on confirm merge. That's it. And it says it's merged here, but what just happened? So it says that it's been merged into main. So let's just verify. Let's git checkout main. Apologies. One sec. Yeah, sorry about that. Uh, what I'll actually do here is let me just commit this also, just for now. Again, this file is super annoying. I really wish this didn't show up during this demo, but let me also just push this. And let's now just switch to the main branch. So I'll do git switch main. Okay. But look at this though. In the main branch, you don't see the subtract function. It's only shown over. It says our code changes have been moved onto main, but it doesn't show up over here. So here, as I showed you guys earlier, you'll have no, this I think it's a new command that I'm showing you guys. You'll have to run git pull. Again, git pull, what it does, both changes have done dot all those changes brought down onto Git. And let's see what happens. And here is where you get error message. And this is something I wanted to show you from beginning. So remember the 3 lines of code we saw on github.com, yeah? What they do is they actually set an upstream origin, which I was actually hoping we didn't have to get into it because it's a little bit complicated. But for now, what we can do is just copy this, and remove this, set it to main, and this will git pull. And as soon as we run git pull, all of the changes we merged in that request have shown up on our main branch. So the circum function is now in the main branch. Before, it was only on that other branch. So from this quick demo, like you can see why we create branches and why we create pull requests. And I'll show this again with one more example. Let's try to create a pull request once again to create the feature for like multiplying numbers. So let's try that out. So I'll do git branch and I'll call it multiply numbers. Okay. And now we have 3 branches. Let me switch to the multiply numbers branch. Okay, I've switched branches. And let me do a git status. Okay, everything's good. Let me now create a new function to multiply numbers. Okay, and let me also create a quick demo here. Let's do 12 times 4. Okay, I should expect to see 48 in the console. So if I run this file that I create, you see 12 times and we will got it. That's great. So once I'm happy with these changes, what I'll do is I'll create a commit. I'll first add all the files I changed. So what I would recommend is before you guys add commits, always make it a habit for running git status all the time because it's very useful to run this very often. So let's and this git status shows us that a change has been done on index.js. So let's git add either you do git add dot or the name of the file. Dot is more convenient, but what dot does is it adds every file change and it changes everything. Here we have one file, so I'll just put the name of the file. It's totally fine. I'll create commit and I'll say create function to multiply numbers. So here what's happening is I'm creating another commit on the multiply numbers branch, not on the main branch. So I'll commit that and let me push this to the remote repository. So I'll run that command. And now if I go back to GitHub, we should have another branch called multiply numbers. So go to the pull request tab, same thing, new pull request. I want to merge these features from multiply numbers onto main. And again, we see what's highlighted in green as new line of code that were added in. So a new function called multiply numbers was added and a new console log was added. So I'll create a pull request again, create that again over here. And we see it over here. That's merge pull request and confirm merge. Great. And now locally, if I go back to my main branch now, I don't have multiple numbers because my local one is like 2 steps behind remote, which I can confirm by doing git status. I'm going to git first. So fetch this. If you git pull, it'll actually pull down all the code changes that you did. But git fetch just updates information. It doesn't change your code or anything. So once you run git fetch and then you do a git status, it says that your branch is behind originally 2. So it's essentially saying that your computer's repository is behind github.com. So what I'll do here is pull, and this pulls in all the changes that I just merged over here in this pull request. So I see like this flow is completed. Create your branch, you move your branch and create a new branch. You create a few commits, and then you create a pull request and you merge the pull request. It's a 4-step process you do to introduce new features. You might be wondering, why don't we just commit into the new main branch? Like, isn't that easier? And let me show you that as well. So let's say we want to create another function with numbers. So we have a simple divide to numbers. And let me also create a console log for that. Let's divide 20 by 2. Okay, and we should expect to see 10 in our console. So let's run that and we see 10. But imagine you make a mistake in your code and we actually put a times b here. So, and let's say you forgot to run the code. So here the output is definitely wrong. 20 divided by 2 is not 40. But let's say we don't create that and we're just pushing to main, yeah? And you notice this way. Instead of get add dot, this time I'm going to use the shortcut get commit -am, and I'm going to put my commit message here. The commit message is going to be add function for by numbers. So here I'm pushing directly onto the main branch. I'm creating new branch, and I've accidentally made a mistake that I forgot to notice. Let's push that onto main, and let's just push it onto GitHub as well. Okay, so I just created a commit. Apparently, this and I push it onto main. So if I go back to github.com and I open up the file, you see divide and multiply now both multiply numbers a times b, a times b. And the issue that we have here is because we didn't create a branch, we quickly refine our changes. We just made some changes and pushed them to main. And if this was a real application, this would have been a bug and customers would have been complaining. Because imagine you pulled out your calculator, you divided numbers and it's just multiplying numbers. That's good. So in any real like big launch that you're working on, you should always create branches, then create changes. You should not like come directly to me. But let's say you're working on a solo project. I would actually recommend just doing this. Just keep pushing to main. You don't have to really create branches. And if it's creating branches, but when you're working alone, it's not that important. But when you're working in a team, you cannot push in main directly. Which is, let me create another branch to fix this. So let's quickly do that. Okay, created a branch. Let's verify that. Okay, a divide numbers branch. Nice. Let's switch to the branch. Git switch. And I've now switched branches. Nice. Let me now fix this. But assume I still made a mistake again. So I think I fixed it, but let then easily slip up. Like when you're working on a real application. So again, 20 divided by 2 is still wrong. But in this scenario, I've created a branch and I'm creating a pull request. So I've made a change. Let's create a commit using this syntax. So git commit am, and I'll say fix divide numbers function. Okay, so I've just created a branch, and let's also just push this branch onto GitHub. So things just happened. Let's what just happened. So if I go to my pull request tab and I create a new pull request, select divide numbers. Okay, our changes show up here. Let's just create it and let's see. Now here is where I want to show you guys why we create pull requests and why it's so important in a team. Because your coworkers can see this pull request and they see that, okay, I didn't just get this change, but again there's a mistake. I didn't should have word, he did add. And this said course can click on this button. You can here successful above. Could you try fixing this something? So you put us in comment on your pull requests. And let's just start a comment. So as you can see, there's a mistake. And when these mistakes pointed out by your like team members, you can instantly be like, okay, there was a mistake. Let me go fix that. Let's try fixing it right now. So I'll go back to my code. So of A plus B. I'll make it and let's test OK. So if I run the code, 20 divided by 2 is 10. It works great now. So what I'll do is I'll create another commit in the same numbers. And I'll call it finally fixed with function bug. And another like quick tip I want to give you is first your git commit message can literally be anything. Like you can whatever message you want in here, but it is highly recommended that you guys be as descriptive as you can when you write these messages because you want other people to understand, that's what I didn't try to do. So it's recommended to take a little bit of time and write a descriptive message. You never just want to say fix bug because that's not clear. It's not clear what you just did. So it's always better to do something like this, or an even better message would be something like switch uh, switch multiplier operator with divide operator. Something like that. That's very detailed and specific. So I always try to do. We know push this commit. And let's finally look at a pull request now. And the cool thing about a pull request is if it will continuously make changes on that pull request. So remember we will take initially right on request A times B and we made this commit just now, right? Finally fixed divide. So these commits always get added on top of your pull request. And let's just verify that once again. Let's change 20 to like 33 by 11. And let's change this to 33 by 11. So if I run this, we 33 by 11, 3. So that's good. And let's say I want these changes to be included as part of this pull request. So again, I'll do this command and hit commit. Say update divide numbers and because that's what I just did. I just did this. So before we commit this, I want to show you one more cool command and say this. And when you run this, what it will show you is all the changes you made in the window. So if I full screen this and run this, you can see that this line is highlighted in red, that this has been removed and has been replaced with this line. Clearly shows you what all you did in this commit. And once you're happy with this, you can just, since we've already committed this, or we did not, we actually just wrote that. So let's run this again. And now let's push this once again. And hopefully we'll have one more commit. You can see it just updated instantly. So that's one more benefit of having a pull request where you always scale up commits and more changes onto it until it's open. And now that we're happy with this, I can just verify the file is changed. And as you can see, these are the files that are changed. Everything looks good. Your team members can view this file, and what they can do is they can approve it. So they can just say, looks good. The thing is, if it was a team member, they could like just review your thing and review your pull request and approve it. After which you can just go and merge. So you go here, merge pull request, confirm merge, and boom, we've merged. We can merge by switch back to the main branch with git switch main. Let's git fetch all the latest changes, and let's go git status now. And it says your branch is behind by 4 commits. So let's do git pull to get all the latest fork changes. And I can also run git log over here, which we previously discussed, and that shows all those commits we just created. So it's very clear, like all these commits, you can like scroll through this list and see all the past commits you've made. Okay, all of this looks good. Do git pull. Great. And now if I go back to my file, everything is there, the main branch. So the goal of this demo was to show you that, of course, you could just add all of these commits onto the main branch, but that's not the benefit of Git, and it's not the reason why we all use Git in the industry. The reason why we all use it is so that we can create these branches and then create pull requests from there and then merge it slowly back into the main branch. And just with this quick demo, you can probably see the benefits of Git and GitHub and how it like helps you work in a much larger team. And trust me, I've worked on so many large projects, and without Git, it would have been basically impossible to track changes, clears, log level working on the same. But this is basically a gist of all the command using in Git. And almost everything we've discussed is mentioned in this cheat sheet. I'll send a link to this to you guys after the call. There's everything that you'll need. Like there's some useful, super useful stuff. Like let's say you get a commit, but you made a mistake and you want to undo stuff. You can just run this command and will undo your command. So super useful, and this is what you'll need like 90% of the time. So this is useful. And this is basically what I wanted to show you guys. Just a quick overview to get. Again, if I wanted to explain the inner workings and all of the theory and show you a lot of examples, we go on for hours. But what I wanted to show you in this half an hour, 1 hour, is just how this works on a surface level. And now that you guys have seen how it's, you can then slowly understand. Later on, when you're using more of this, you will be, yeah, I remember this guy once showed us a demo and he was also doing the same thing. So it helps like connect all these pieces in your brain. And I really wish someone did this to me when I was starting my journey, which is why I thought it might be valuable to like share with you guys as well. But yeah, that's basically the demo. Um, if you guys have any doubts or you want to discuss any doubts or if you just want to reach out, like feel free to DM me on Twitter. That's my username. I'm always available if you guys want any help or support. But that's pretty much it. Mr. Sultan Khan, you can now take it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Arun sir. So, anybody यहाँ पे किसी को कोई भी question है, see the guest lecturers, whoever arrives here is an industry professional and he provides you with all of the information and all of the trends that are happening right now in the industry, right? So अभी हमने Git के लिए एक छोटा सा demo देखा. We saw a small demo on how to handle Git. So what I would expect from y'all is to since we are doing daily events, so why not track that progress on a GitHub repository? A doable thing, right, for you all? So apart from that, किसी को कोई भी questions हैं sir से regarding anything, let's say whatever the demo was about or whatever he is doing right now, or you want some insights on what is the industry trends right now, or what can be you know something helpful जो तुम्हें ऐसा है तुम्हारे में तुम्हें help करेगा. You can shoot those questions, easier for you to answer them. Okay.
Yeah, and again, if you guys have any questions, like don't worry about question being stupid or anything. Like the dumber the question, the better. So if you guys have any doubts at all, like feel free to ask.
Actually, in a learning phase, I don't find a question that is dumb to be said. everything is a
That is a good point. Yes, that's true. I only mention it because when I was in my learning journey, I always felt like a little bit of hesitation asking these questions, thinking, will they feel like it's a dumb question or not? But just letting you guys know there's nothing like a dumb question. You guys can ask like whatever. And before, I also wanted to show you guys like a couple of cool resources. Uh, I'll be sending you guys to cheat sheet. It'll be super helpful. Along with that, I wanted to show you guys this game as well. I'll send a link to this in the chat. And this is one way I learned like Git and how to create branches and all the nuances. It's a super simple game. Just read through all the instructions and go through it. I feel like it'll give you a little bit of clarity. And I wouldn't recommend completing the entire game, but maybe throughout your coding journey, just try out a few levels and then back to it and then try a little more. It'll definitely be helpful. So yeah, I'd recommend doing this. This helped me a lot in my journey. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Thank you, Aryan sir. I don't find any questions being asked here right now. अगर कोई भी doubt हो, कोई भी question हो, तो he has provided you with his socials. You can reach out to him and ask him. और अगर कोई बात ऐसा doubt हो